Good morrow, scholars. Welcome again to Witch and Wizard. It's been a really long time, and I have no good excuse. Well, I say that, but in the last one, I explained having issues with my friends. I don't know what it is. Just it seems like every single one of them wanted to say or do something. It's not like I got offended. It's more like, I was insulted, but it's not like they offended me with what they said. It's like a physical pain in my heart, I guess. Like, it actually made me hurt that, they would say things the way they did. Like, I don't know. I won't go into specifics because maybe it's just me being overly dramatic and overly sensitive, but the last friendship I had that ended this way was because basically the same things were said to me for no reason. It's completely unprovoked, and I was just worried. Okay, the one guy, I could accept him being written out of my life. But honestly, for the last few years, I didn't really like him much anyway, because he just wasn't a positive person to be around. But, this is a group of friends I've had the last few years that I've worked at Walmart. And, 4 people at once, it's just not... It wasn't good for my self-esteem or my psyche, and I needed a break. So I watched a lot of Team 4-Star and then playing video games. Anyway, it's been 2 minutes. I've rambled too much. We are in Chapter 70, Wisty, page 203. I'm fairly certain, because I remember leaving it at a cliffhanger. Takes one to know one, I retorted. Actually, I didn't say that at all. I'd learned a thing or two about controlling myself since being arrested and sentenced to death. So I made my eyes go circular and wide and did some of the best acting of my life. Where? I gasped, spinning on my stool, searched up and down the diner, looking fearfully at everyone. My sister's certainly not a witch, Whit said, looking convincingly astonished. Hunks are great at that, especially sincere ones. Trust me, I've been living with Whit's act since I was an infant. This girl was just named Sector Leader's Star of Honor, Jonathan said. He was pretty good, too. Maybe Mrs. Highsmith is imagining things. I said, maybe she sees things? Is that possible? Mrs. Highsmith, do you have visions? Now all eyes were on the woman and her shady lady friends. She flushed bright red. Just test her, she said in a loud, shrill voice. I'd be happy to take a test, I said quickly, if you take one too. Everyone was real quiet, waiting to see what she'd do next. All of a sudden, anger washed over me. If she knew what it meant to be different, why would she persecute others like herself? It's not me, it's her, said Mrs. Highsmith. Now people in the diner were starting to murmur, clearly suspicious. In my mind, I conjured up a picture of her table. I saw her metal fork where it rested on the napkin by her plate. My dad says not to talk to other people like her, Jonathan said, sliding off his stool and backing toward the door. Whit and I got up too. Come on, guys, we're done here. Let's report this place. In the next half second, I saw her fork, felt it, and knew in my mind what I needed to do with it. Which is why the fork rose up off the table and zipped through the air, right at my face. Help! I shrieked, throwing up my hand. Somebody help me, please! The fork struck the back of my hand harder than I'd intended, actually. I screeched, which worked to perfect effect. The patrons of the diner broke into a full-voiced uproar of shock and disapproval. Why is she trying to hurt me? I squealed. How did she do that? That's unnatural. She stabbed me with her fork. It flew. Call security services, someone got up and shouted. She heard a Star of Honor girl. What? She is a witch. It's not me. It's her, Mrs. Highsmith screamed again as the crowd moved toward her. For the first time, I felt just the littlest, tiniest bit guilty about my powers. I mean, maybe she was simply a helpless, grumpy old lady, but I sure doubted it. I feel kind of bad. 71. The counterman quickly examined some kind of chart, like the ones normally posted for how to rescue a choking victim, and yelled, "Pin her arms tightly enough to cut off the circulation, then gag her so she can't cast any more spells." Meanwhile, we eased out the front door, casting nervous glances behind us at every single step. Sirens were wailing our way, racing closer and closer. I could see Mrs. Highsmith pinned up against the plate glass window, at least a dozen paper napkins wedged in her mouth as an impromptu gag. I actually felt sorry for her. Then the old woman spied me watching. She stared at me balefully for a moment, and then began to glow, like I had at that one time at the hospital. I felt somewhat relieved. My instincts were right. She really was a witch. Then she did the unexpected. I saw her wave one hand for us to go. Was she on our side? It got even better. Her citizen attackers floated up in the air like life-size balloons. Then they were thrown back away from her and her witch friends, cartwheeling and somersaulting into the depths of the diner, screeching, "Help us! Help us!" Keeping her eyes locked on me, she casually pulled the napkins from her mouth. Her friends continued to calmly munch their sandwiches and sip tea. Then the weirdest thing. She pointed with her right hand, but only the gnarled index finger and pinky, like she was flashing me a sign, or maybe putting a curse on me. What was that all about? And then she and her antique girlfriends disappeared. Poof, gone. A coven, I whispered to Whit. It was a coven of witches. 72. Whit. The night of the Mrs. Highsmith incident, we all slept in the bed and bath department at Garfunkel's, hoping we hadn't been cursed and wouldn't wake up as toads. Bet you didn't know you could fit two teenagers, a large dog, and a traitorous weasel into one double bed. Of course, it helps if one of the kids floats a couple of feet above the mattress during her dream cycles. Still, some of the king-size beds near us had as many as 6 or 7 kids sleeping on them. There were hundreds of us in the store, on mattresses and sleeping bags, on piles of couch cushions, rolled up in bedding and bath towels. It was like a counselor-free post-apocalyptic summer camp. The relief at being out of the hospital and away from the matron, the visitor, Judge Ezekiel Unger, and the New Order's nightmare, almost said regiment, regime made it all seem positively homey. The next morning, I was looking at myself in the mirror outside the men's dressing rooms. I found a set of free weights down in the sporting goods section, and seen how much of a phoebe I'd gotten to be in jail. Oh, I guess that's short for feeble? I don't know. I began working out again, building my strength, knowing I would need it eventually. Him. I don't know. A cough behind me made me jump. Wizard Allgood. It was Janine. I have someone I'd like you to meet. As usual, cute as Janine was, she was as solemn-faced as the vice principal. The girl next to her, however, was grinning. She was maybe 16 or 17, dark-skinned, on the short side, but probably weighed 200 pounds. Nicky, what are you doing? I don't know what it is. He likes to climb up and then do like this backflip somersault. Hit the heat emitter that I have right here, and then he flops down on the ground. I don't know what it is. Where was I? Hi, she said, sticking out her hand. I'm going to say Jamila, but I don't think that's it. I'm the shaman. Uh-huh, I said, shaking her hand anyway. I noticed how her brown eyes shone and her wild corkscrew hair made a fluffy wedge and up and away from her face. The shaman, Jamila repeated. In other words, another oddball, kind of like you and your sister, only I don't do magic myself. I just help other people do cantrips, I don't know. I guess that's a slang term in universe. Been working with a few witches and wizards, helping them hone their powers. Hi, Wisty said, joining us. We know we have special powers, but sometimes they're hard to control. Most of the time, actually. It's hard to master one's magical endowments, Jamila reassured us. We're finding there's a range from people who know who's calling on the phone to a few who can actually make small objects float in the air. Some can even say what's in your pocket's a purse. Jamila smiled and raised her eyebrows to show how impressed she was with that. Wisty and I exchanged glances. We hear you. But I'm curious to find out what you two can do. We've never seen the New Order spend such resources and time on anybody before. I mean, our sources tell us that they fitted that entire crazy house Magus with the magic dampening materials just for you two. I guess we should be flattered, I said dryly. But it's like Wisty said, we can do some magic, but it's hard to control. Like what? Jamila said eagerly. Some other kids were starting to gather around us now. Well, like this, said Wisty, and she burst into flames. Everyone started screaming and backing away, even the shaman. Show off, I said. 73. My sister just stood there, 4-feet-long flames whipping out and away from her eyes blinking and concerned in her fiery face. As you might imagine, everyone was shrieking like, well, kids watching somebody on fire. Before I even had a chance to figure out how to smother the flames, her fire went out. I did it! Wisty punched the air with her fist. I put myself out! High five! I cheered. You're the witch. I don't know. Seriously, what's up with my hair? Oh wait, I'm not supposed to do that. Anyway, where was I? Jamila looked a little sick. Did you do that on purpose? She asked hoarsely. Speaking of which. How you guys doing? Remember, it's important to stay hydrated. If you feel thirsty, that dryness in your throat, you're already severely dehydrated. Go get some water. I'll wait. I don't know. Yeah, totally, said Wisty. Usually, though, it happens by accident, like if I'm really mad. But that was the first time I've been able to start and stop the fire on my own. Normally, somebody has to get me really ticked off, and then get a fire extinguisher. Jamila gave a low whistle of amazement. What else can you do? She floated, said a boy who couldn't have been more than 5. He pointed at Wisty. I saw her do it. She floated last night, like a balloon over the bed. Oh yeah, said Wisty, embarrassed. Sometimes I do that. Not intentionally. I heard gasping and murmuring from the crowd. Whit stuck his hand through a wall, Wisty said, and stopped a gavel in midair, and I threw a fork at myself, long story, and froze a bunch of guard dogs at the hospital. You said Jamila faintly. I unfroze them too, Wisty said defensively. I didn't leave them that way. I couldn't do that to dogs. Ask Pfeffer. And I glow sometimes, kind of like that witch in town who did right before she sent all those people flying in the diner. Don't know what that's about yet. Everyone might have been a lot more skeptical, but they'd just seen a human flamesicle. The leeches, I remembered, nodding. Wait, what? Oh yeah, said Wisty. I made a bunch of horseflies, even though I was trying to make a giant cockroach. She shuddered. And then there's little old me, said a voice down by our feet. You're talking weasel? Said Janine. He wasn't always a weasel, Wisty admitted. But this is his true form. My true form was a lion, he squeaked. That was probably your opposite form, said Wisty, glaring menacingly at Byron, who glared right back. Oh my goodness, Jamila said, looking from us to Janine. Janine's eyes widened. You think, she said to the shaman. Janine, I think this is them. Them who? I asked. Them what? Did I really want to hear this? The Liberators, Jamila blurted out, still staring at us. The Rescuers, check this out. There's a prophecy, and it's about the two of you. That would be a fair place to stop, I suppose. Let's keep going. 74. Jamila turned and ran into a nearby wall on the way to the gift wrap counter. Her puffy hair was bouncing around like a slinky. You guys remember slinkies? I love slinkies. Anyway, The wall had velvet rope in front of it to keep people away, but Jonah stepped right over it. This here is the prophecy wall. Sometimes messages appear on it. Usually it's just store stuff like huge white sale in January, but sometimes it's go to 5th Street, rescue an orphan kid from house number 24, things like that. A while ago it predicted 2 liberators who possessed magic would come to help overthrow the New Order. So, my friends, you must be the real deal. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. She turned to the group of people who had followed us to the wall. Does anyone here think this is just a coincidence? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? I'd just like to point out that reference is older than me. I think. I have no idea. I've seen that movie maybe once. Anyway. Suddenly everybody started clapping and cheering wildly. Everybody but Wisty and me, that is. Huh? I said. It was just a wall. A blank wall. Was that the latest and greatest prophecy? Nada? Nothing? Meaning either we were about to slip into a void or almost as grim. Nothing was going to change. Not really. The message was there, said Jamila. Wait a few seconds. It doesn't always do it. We stared at the plain wall, a slice of textured wallpaper curling down from one corner, very unremarkable. Wisty looked at... I'm falling. I don't know what that was. Wisty looked at me, and I shrugged big time. Well, it comes and goes, said Janine, pushing back her hair. But we've all seen it. Various heads in the crowd nodded. Okie doke. Maybe the wall was just out of prophecies today. Even if you're right, I said. How are we supposed to overthrow a government powerful enough to destroy entire cities and build new ones? Besides, we're still going to look for our mother and our father. We told you that from the beginning, said Wisty. Look, someone said. And I turned to the prophecy wall again. This time I saw letters forming... What the? One day soon, kids will run the world. Does that mean they'll kill all the adults? Have you guys ever seen Children of the Corn? Or that one episode of South Park where they got rid of all the adults? That one was actually kind of funny. Anyway. A shiver ran through me. I had heard similar words before from Celia. The message continued, and do a better job than the grown-ups ever did. I could see it. Have you seen the state of this country? The State of the Union? That was a dumb joke I just made. Don't worry. I'll explain later. Oh, yeah. Let's see, where was I? Whoa, Wisty murmured. Heavy. I haven't heard that used as a slang term since I watched Back to the Future. Which I know is older than me. Anyway. Suddenly, Sasha came running up to Janine and whispered something in her ear. Janine listened, nodded, and seemed to get flustered, especially for her. Go ahead. What? No, sorry. She looked at Wisty and me. Sasha, tell them, she said. Go ahead. We've just gotten a message from our spies monitoring the overworld prison. More exterminations are scheduled for tomorrow morning. Vaporization. There were gasps and horrified murmurs around the room, and after hearing Michael Clancy's story, I had the same reaction. So did Wisty. But there's something else, Sasha said, and he looked directly at the two of us. Your parents have been captured again. What? Wisty and I shouted. Where are they? That came out more Batman than it should. Wisty demanded to know. Wherever they are, we're there, I announced, effective immediately. Sorry, we can't help you guys, Sasha. No need to apologize, he reassured me confidently. In fact, your parents are being held in Overworld. I didn't even need to look at Wisty to know what she was thinking. The word vaporization was pounding in our brains. That being the case, I began. We're in, Wisty said, without missing a beat. A few more. 75, Wisty. The team leader for the break-in at the Overworld prison was a girl, which I loved. What? Her name was Margot, and although she was about my size, she was as tough as razor blades. She had to be. She'd already escaped from Overworld and lost a couple of fingers. She was also homicidal when it came to the one who is the one. And I have to admit, I was starting to be too. He intended to vaporize my parents tomorrow, after all. We couldn't let that happen. Margot led the way through an abandoned subway station that was dank and dark, but we had flashlights from the hardware section at Garfunkel's. Once we get inside, we should let the kids out first, since we know where they are. Then we can go looking for your parents, said Margot. Let's wait and see, okay? Recommended Whit. Once we get inside, we'll make a final plan, but that raises the big question, doesn't it? How do we break into Overworld? Margot looked at the two of us. Magic would be good. Whit and I stopped walking, and so did the rest of our band of 9. The Fellowship of the Ring. Anyway. We can always get ourselves arrested. What? Oh, I missed the line. Sorry. There's no real plan to get inside, is there? Whit asked. We can always get ourselves arrested, Margot said. That shouldn't be a big problem. I'd been half listening to them, but mostly I was thinking about seeing our mother and father again, and I couldn't wait. Now it was time to get down to business. I have a plan, I said. I've been going over it a lot. First, we need disguises. Of course, ones that allow us to blend in with the prison environment. I was thinking that Whit could be a guard. I can try to make him look older and give him a guard's uniform. Then he can just walk in. I don't want to be arrested again, Margot. So what about you? Whit asked me. How do you get in, Wisty? It has to be magic that I can do consistently, so I tried some things before we left Garfunkel's. I can do something fairly interesting that I think will work. Do what? Whit asked. You're going to think it's stupid and crazy. Wisty, what are you going to do? How do you get inside? Well, Wisty paused, then blurted out the rest. Turn myself into a mouse. 76. A mouse? Whit looked like he might explode. A mouse? You're going to in there disguised as a rodent to rescue Mom and Dad and all those kids and maybe tangle with the one who is the one? I nodded. A mouse can go places without anyone seeing it. A mouse can chew through wires or sneak through skinny pipes. A mouse can do things even an elephant can't do, I pointed out. A mouse can also get squashed by some guard's boot or vaporized. No, Whit said. It's too dangerous, and it's not. I refused to back off my idea because it was a good one. I was sure of it. But it'll also give me a chance to go places that no one else can go. I can do this, Whit. I tried snakes, roaches, bats. That would be awesome. I can do a mouse, and I said with a half smile, I have a good track record with small animals, right? There was a very uncomfortable silence for a few seconds while everyone digested my plan, such as it was. In the meantime, we'd made it out of the subway and were up on a street, though we stayed in the shadows. I don't like it, Whit said, but I could tell he was weakening. Trust me, I said. I'm a witch. Watch this. Watch very closely. Okay. My throat kind of hurts. I'm going to take a quick break, drink a lot more water, do some stretches, and upload these two, and then I'm going to get started on some more videos for tomorrow, probably. I'll try and get 2 more of each if I can. If not, hey, at least I'll have a bit of breathing room. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Sorry for moving around an awful lot. You know how I am. I'm weird like that, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, until next time, goodbye, everybody. And also, sorry about the headphones. Kind of broken. I'm going to go buy a microphone, I think, next paycheck. I guess I can go today or tomorrow. I'm off. Sorry.